be clear, comparison is not the problem. It's what you do with it that either builds your life or burns it down. We live in a culture where we're told not to compare ourselves. Like that's even possible. Humans compare. It's wired into our cognitive function. From the moment we're born, we're assessing, measuring, contrasting. That is not inherently wrong. What is wrong is the direction we take it and the meanings we assign to it. There are two types of comparison, and only one of them is sabotaging your self-worth. One kind teaches and the other tortures. And the difference between them is the difference between growing into your full potential or collapsing under the weight of someone else's highlight reel. So let's talk about destructive comparison, the kind that hijacks your peace. You know the feeling. You're scrolling through Instagram or sitting in a meeting and someone announces they just hit a milestone. Immediately your chest tightens, your brain starts running numbers, and you suddenly feel 10 steps behind. The thought kicks in, why am I not there? Why am I there yet? And just like that, you entered the mental torture chamber. This form of comparison is static. It sees achievement as fixed. Like they've got it, you don't, and that's the end of the story. No room for effort, no allowed for timing, no curiosity about the process. It's binary, winner or loser, ahead or behind, success or failure. It doesn't factor in growth. It forgets that you're emotion, that everyone is. Even worse, it lacks context. You see someone's chapter 10 and forget that you're in chapter 3. You compare your unedited life to someone else's polished presentation. You know you're owning the chaos, but all you see from them is poise and polish. That's not a fair fight. That's a distortion. And then there's the emotional spiral. Destructive comparison doesn't just live in your head, it takes over your nervous system. It brings shame, envy, panic, paralysis. You feel small, stuck, behind, not because you are, but because the filter you're looking through tells you that you must be. This kind of comparison that creates a false reality. One where you feel like there's no room for you to win, no space for your timeline, no point in trying. And once you believe that, you stop applying, stop creating, stop showing up. That's how powerful and dangerous unconscious comparison can be. But in really don't have to be that way.
What Mo said, just laid out, is crucial. And the good news is there's a way out. Comparison can also be one of the most powerful catalysts for growth if you shift how you use it. Let's talk about what that looks like. We call it constructive comparison. It doesn't judge, it studies. It asks questions. It looks at someone else's success and doesn't say, why not me? It says, how can I learn from this? That shift from envy to education is massive, and here's why it works. Constructive comparison is dynamic. It sees where someone is, and instead of assuming that's who they've always been, it asks, how did they get there? It assumes there's a process, and it wants to understand the steps. Think about the people that you admire, the confident speaker, the financially free entrepreneur, the person with the healthy body, or the thriving relationship. If you only look at the outcome, you're missing the whole point. But if you become a student of their process, it stops being competition and start being case studies. You begin asking smarter questions. What systems are they using? What habits do they practice? What mindset do they carry daily? What setbacks do they overcome? That's how comparison becomes fuel. You're not stealing their shine. You're learning from their steps. And when you do that, something even more important happens. Your emotional response shifts from defeat to inspiration. You stop feeling crushed and start feeling curious. Let's take this deeper. Because This is where it connects directly to reality creation. Your thoughts aren't passive, they're creative. When you engage in destructive comparison, you're literally generating a version of reality where you believe you're behind, incapable, or unworthy. And that belief directs your choices. It creates hesitation. It leads to avoidance. It drives procrastination and low self-worth. But when you engage in constructive comparison, you're creating a different reality, one where others' success is the evidence of what's possible. You become someone who sees opportunity in other people's progress. You let their success affirm your path, not question it. That's a huge shifting frequency. It puts you back in the driver's seat. And here's the magic. People who learn to use comparison as a teacher end up accelerating faster. Not because they're copying others, but because they're learning how to adapt proven pathways to their own goals. They're not comparing to compete, they're comparing to evolve.
Let's make this real. If you want to stop comparison from draining you and start using it to develop you, here's where to start. First, be aware. Catch yourself in the act. When you feel that familiar sting, envy, shame, tightness, judgment, pause. Don't judge the emotion, just notice it. That discomfort is data. It's pointing you towards something you care about, something you want to express or experience for yourself. Then be curious. Instead of saying things like, oh, I'll never be like that, say, how did they get there? Shift from emotional spiraling to investigative thinking. This isn't toxic positivity, it's powerful neuroplasticity. Your brain will reroute if you give it better questions. Focus on the process rather than the outcome. Become obsessed with the how, not just the what. That best-selling author didn't just get lucky, they likely wrote for years, faced rejection, rewrote entire drafts. The person with a calm presence probably spent time healing, meditating, learning emotional regulation. When you learn the backstory, the results stop looking magical and start looking human. And that's when you see what's possible for you. Expect there are different timelines. Stop judging your life based on someone else's pace. If you're 29 and just starting and someone else made it at 22, it doesn't mean you're behind. It means you are living your timeline. They started earlier or had different circumstances or chose a different route. This is your race and you're not victor. You're right on schedule for your path, your development, your rhythm. Perform an inspiration audit. Ask yourself, who triggers me and why? You'll find that the people you compare yourself to often hold clues about what you value. Don't resist that. Mine it, it's like insight. Maybe it's not that you want their exact life, but something about their discipline, freedom, or creativity is resonating with your deeper desires. Use that insight to clarify your goals. And finally, practice gratitude for their example. You don't have to fake cheer for someone else, but if you can say, thank you for showing me what's possible, you dissolve the resistance. You train your brain to welcome examples of success rather than reject them out of fear. Because the truth is, someone else's success does not diminish your own. There really is room for everyone. But the moment you believe that there isn't, you start shrinking yourself to fit an illusion.
And that's the core message today. Comparison isn't going anywhere. The question is, how will you use it? You can weaponize it against yourself and stay stuck in the cycles of shame, or you can use it to illuminate what's possible and carve your own path. You can let it flatten you or fuel you, torture you or teach you. The people you admire weren't born at the finish line. They walked the path. They fell, adjusted, learned, and got up again. And every single one of them probably looked around at some point and thought, I'm not there yet. But they didn't stop there. They didn't use comparison as the final word. They used it as a launch pad. So today, make the shift. Don't just compare, study, learn, apply, grow. You're not behind, you're just beginning. And someone somewhere is going to compare themselves to you one day, not with envy, but with hope.
If your conversation shifted something in you, if it helped reframe the way you think about comparison, go ahead and hit the like button. It really, really helps get the message out and to move more people who need to hear this. So also make sure that you're subscribed to the channel and turn on the notifications so you don't miss future talks. We're always diving deeper into mindset, self-concept, and conscious creation tools that you can use to change your life. And if there was a moment that stood out for you, drop it in the comment. Let us know what you're working on or what topics you want us to cover next. We're building a community around clarity, growth, and real alignment, and your voice matters. So thank you so much for being here. And remember, comparison is the enemy. Misuse it, so use it wisely. Stay curious and keep building the version of yourself you were always meant to become. So until next time, think differently, dream boldly, and create consciously.
I'm a quiet rebel, I don't need a shower. Changing the world from the inside out. No fists in the air.